I pray I'm good evening. I pray I'm not confusing everybody, but we're trying to make changes where everybody is enjoying our communities and hopefully people are learning as well as we want people to learn, but we want people to share too. So I've changed sharing God's word back to bonding with God. So, and did some changes to it, but also, meantime, I'm gonna still read. I will still read, and I will post some summaries of what. But yeah, read along with me in Isaiah. I'm gonna still be reading in Isaiah, and we have some that are going to be doing some studies in First John. And just please comment, question, tell us what you would like to learn in the community. You know, whatever you would like to share in the community, as long as it's godly. And let's start in Isaiah 12. And I pray that something is helping you. I know I'm learning from you as well. Isaiah 12. And in that day thou shalt say, O Lord, I will praise thee, though thou wast angry with me, thine anger is turned away, and thou comfortest me. Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid, for the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song. He also is become my salvation. Therefore, with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation. In that day shall ye say, praise the Lord, call upon his name, declare his doings among the people, make mention that his name is exalted. Sing unto the Lord, for he hath done excellent things. This is known in all the earth. Cry out and shout, the inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of thee. So we see in chapter 12 what will the people's attitude toward God in the day of salvation be. Everyone will love, praise, and exalt God. So Isaiah 13, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts musters the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. How, ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint. Every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man in the golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. And the wrath of the Lord of hosts in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Every one that is found shall be thrust through, and every one that is joined unto them shall fall by their sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young man to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt, and from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their foes there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and of the house it shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons and their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So chapter 13. What prophecy does Isaiah make concerning the world? And who would God send against Babylon? The world will be destroyed for its evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and the Medes. Chapter 14. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with him. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb. Proverb means riddle, against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The gone city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and unhindered. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy bowels. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to the hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that maketh the earth, to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the houses of his prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, even one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword that go down to the stones of the pit, as the carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be removed. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, said the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant, and son and nephew, said the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the bitter and pools of water, and I will sweep it with a besom of destruction, said the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand. Then I will break the Syrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him underfoot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? And that in the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery blind serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. Howl, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestina, art dissolved, for there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed time. What shall one then answer the messengers of a nation, that the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it? So chapter 14, who is Babylon paralleled with? Lucifer, which is Satan. And what was Lucifer's sin? Well, he wanted to exalt himself above all and be like God. Will Lucifer have rest in his grave? No. Who does Assyria and Philistine represent? They represent the followers of Satan. We'll move on to chapter. And when I put the summaries in my profile in my community, I will start doing it 2 chapters a day. That way, give everybody a chance to read and look at it. All right, let's go to chapter 15 of Isaiah. The burden of Moab, because in the night hour of Moab its laid waste, and brought to silence, because in the night cur of Moab its laid waste and brought to silence. He has gone up to Bahaz on the high places to weep. Moab shall howl over Nebo and over Media. On all their heads shall be baldness, and every beard cut off. And their streets they shall gird themselves with sackcloth on the tops of their houses. And in their streets everyone shall howl, weeping abundantly. And Heshbon shall cry, and Elah their voice shall be heard even unto Jahaz, therefore, the armed soldiers of Moab shall cry out. His life shall be grievous unto him. My heart shall cry out for Moab. His fugitives shall flee unto Zoar, and heifer of 3 years old. For by the mounting up of Luhith, with weeping shall they go it up. For in the way of Horonim they shall raise up a cry of destruction. For the waters of Nimrah shall be desolate, for the hay is withered away, the grass faileth, there is no green thing. Therefore the abundance they have gotten, and that which they have laid up shall they carry away to the brook of the willows. For the cry is gone round about the borders of Moab, the howling thereof. For the cry is gone round about the borders of Moab, the howling thereof unto Eglaim, and the howling thereof unto Barelah. For the waters of Dimon, I don't know where they come up with these names, but we have to read every chapter and every word so we can understand everything. Shall be full of blood, for I will bring more upon Dimon, lions upon him that escapeth of Moab, and upon the remnant of the land. So in chapter 15, what do we see? Chapter 15, what is the prophecy against Moab? They will be destroyed. So let's go to chapter 16 about that. Remember, the first 39 chapters is about judgment. Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon. Take counsel, execute judgment. Make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. Hide thy outcasts. Bewray not him that wandereth. Let mine outcast dwell with thee. Moab, be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler, for the extortioner is at an end. The spoiler ceases, the oppressors are consumed out of the land. And in mercy shall the stone be established, and he shall sit upon it. In truth, the tabernacle of David, judging and seeking judgment and hastening righteousness. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud, even of his haughtiness and his pride and his wrath, but his life shall not be so. Therefore shall Moab howl for Moab, everyone shall howl for the foundation of Cheresh shall ye mourn. Surely they are stricken. For the fields of Heshbon languish, and the vine of Maad, the lords of the heathen, have broken down the principal plants thereof. They are come even unto Jazer. They wander through the wilderness. Her branches are stretched out. They are gone over the sea. Therefore I will bewail thee, bewail with the weeping of Jazer, the vine of Sibmah. I will water thee with my tears, O Heshbon and Elah, for the shouting for thy summer fruits and for thy harvest is fallen. And gladness is taken away, and joy out of the plentiful field, and in the vineyards there shall be no singing, neither shall there be no shouting. The treader shall tread out no wine, and the oppressors I have made their vintage shouting to cease. Wherefore my vows shall sound like a harp for Moab, and mine inward parts for Cheresh. And it shall come to pass, when it is seen that Moab is weary on the high place, that he shall come to his sanctuary to pray, but he shall not prevail. This is the word that the Lord has spoken concerning Moab since that time. But now the Lord has spoken years, as the years of a hireling, and the glory of Moab shall be contemned with all that great multitude, and the remnant shall be very small and feeble. In chapter 16, who is the one to sit on the throne of David? Who do you think it is? It's Jesus, of course. Now, chapter 17. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. The cities of Aroer are forsaken, they shall be for plots. We shall lie down, and none shall make them afraid. The fortress also shall cease from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Syria. They shall be as the glory of the children of Israel, says the Lord of hosts. And in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob shall be made thin, and the fatness of his flesh shall wax lean. And it shall be as when the harvestman gathereth the corn and reapeth the ears with his arm, and it shall be as he that gathereth ears in the valley of Rephaim, yet gleaning grapes shall be left in it as the shaking of an olive tree. 2 or 3 berries in the top of the uppermost bough, 4 or 5 in the outmost fruitful branches thereof, said the Lord God of Israel. At that day shall a man look to his Maker, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of Israel. And he shall not look to the altars, the work of his hands, neither shall respect that which his fingers have made, either the groves or the images. And that day shall his strong cities be as a forsaken bough, and an uppermost branch which they left because of the children of Israel, and there shall be desolation, because thou hast forgotten the God of thy salvation, and hast not been mindful of the rock of my strength. Therefore shalt thou plant pleasant plants, and shall set it with strange slips. And that day, in a day shalt thou make thy plant to grow, shalt thou make thy seed to flourish, but the harvest shall be a heap in the day of grief and of desperate sorrow. Woe to the multitude of many people which make a noise like rushing of nations, like the noises of the seas, and to the rushing that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nation shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them. And they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. And behold, at evening tide, trouble, and before the morning he is not. This is the portion of them that spoil us, and the lot of them that rob us. The chapter is 17. Who would Damascus and Ephraim be destroyed? Why would they be destroyed? I mean, they had not remembered that he was their protector. Chapter 18. Woe to the land shadowing with wings, which has begun the rivers of Ethiopia, that sendeth ambassadors by the sea, even in vessels of bulrushes upon the waters, saying, Go ye swift messengers to a nation scattered and peeled, to a people terrible from their beginning hitherto, a nation meted out and trodden down, whose land the rivers have spoiled. All ye inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the earth, see ye when he lifted up an ensign on the mountains, and when he bloweth the trumpet, hear ye. For so the Lord said unto me, I will take my rest, and I will consider in my dwelling place, like a clear heat upon herbs, and like a cloud of dew in the heat of a harvest. For before the harvest, when the bud is perfect, and the sour grape is ripening, and the flower, he shall both cut off the sprigs with pruning hooks, and take away and cut down the branches. They shall be left together unto the fowls of the mountains, and to the beasts of the earth. And the fowl shall summer upon them, and all the beasts of the earth shall winter upon them. And that time shall the present be brought unto the Lord of hosts, of a people scattered and peeled, and from a people terrible, from their beginning hitherto, and they should met it out and trodden underfoot, whose land the rivers have spoiled, to the place of the name of the Lord of hosts, the Mount Zion. In chapter 18, what banner will be set up against the mountains for all to see? When God sets up his kingdom over all the nations, false religions and false worship. 2 more chapters. Chapter 19, the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord of hosts. And the waters shall be wasted and dried up, and they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and flags shall wither. The paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouths of the brooks, and everything sown by the brook shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they have that cast angle into the brook shall lament. And they shall spread and they that spread nets upon the water shall languish. Moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave network shall be confounded. And they shall be broken, and the purpose thereof all that make sluices and ponds for fish. Surely the princes of Zoan are fools. The counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh is become brutish. How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings. Where are they? Where are thy wise men? And let them tell thee now, let them know what the Lord of hosts has purposed upon Egypt. The princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Nob are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the say of the tribes thereof. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggers in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman, and it shall be afraid and fear, because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Every one that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he hath determined against it. And that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan, and swear to the Lord of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction. And that day shall there be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border, therefore, to the Lord. And it shall be a sign, it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt, for they shall cry unto the Lord because of the oppressors. And he shall send them a Savior, and a great one, and he shall deliver them. And the Lord shall be known to Egypt, And the Egyptians shall know the Lord in that day, and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yea, they shall vow a vow unto the Lord and perform it. And the Lord shall smite Egypt, he shall smite and heal it, and they shall return, and even to the Lord, and he shall be entreated of them, and shall heal them. And that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrians shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptians into Assyria. And the Egyptians shall serve with the Assyrians. And that day shall Israel be disturbed with Egypt, and with Assyria, even the blessing in the midst of the land. And the Lord of hosts shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt by my people, and Assyria the work of my hands, and Israel mine inheritance. So in chapter 19, what did the waters and rivers that are dried up in Egypt represent? The people who led Egypt into sin and false gods. Who did the fishermen represent? Those who profited from those deceived and led astray. And what is the highway that will connect Assyria and Egypt? The gospel of Jesus Christ. Chapter 20. In the year that Tartan came unto Ashdod, when Sargon, the king of Assyria, sent him and fought against Ashdod and took it. At the same time spake the Lord by Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saying, Go and loose the sackcloth from off thy loins, and put off thy shoe from thy foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. And the Lord said, Like as my servant Isaiah hath walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and wonder upon Egypt and upon Ethiopia, so shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoners and the Ethiopians captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia, their expectation, and of Egypt their glory. And the inhabitant of this isle shall say in that day, Behold, such is our expectation, whither we flee for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and how shall we escape? So in chapter 20, how long did Isaiah walk around stripped and barefoot? And why did God tell Isaiah to do this? He did it for 3 years. It was to be a serious sign against Egypt and Ethiopia. They would be led away captive, stripped, and barefoot. Thank you for joining me, and I pray that you are blessed. And like I said, I will be posting a summary of every chapter I have read. So far, I've gotten to I did chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think I'm on chapter, I can't remember, but it's on the community bonding with God, and it's on my profile. Thank you, and God bless you.